Good evening and welcome to the LaRouche Organization Weekly Battle Report. Today is April 30th. I'm your host, Michelle Aaron. And stay tuned. There's a lot to listen for later in tonight's report. We'll have a report from last Sunday's concert of the Schiller Institute New York City Chorus with a musical excerpt, and a report back from Schiller Institute founder Helga Zep LaRouche on her trip to China last weekend, and a word from several of the people who you will meet when you attend the upcoming Schiller Institute Memorial Day Weekend Conference. But first, we're going to hear from TLO President Diane Sare and Mrs. Helga Zep LaRouche, who this morning discussed the breaking and very dangerous strategic situation now breaking out between India and Pakistan in this morning's Schiller Institute weekly webcast. Diane Sare will indicate the importance of this discussion, and then we'll hear from Helga.
Earlier today, I had the honor and privilege of interviewing Helga Zep Larouche for her weekly English language webcast. And the entire interview really should be watched. It's only about 40 minutes long, but I want to highlight one particular excerpt on the breaking and very dangerous situation between India and Pakistan. And I would urge people to listen closely to her analysis of the way that certain terrorist forces are deployed as instruments of the geopolitical aims of neoconservative elements in the United States and the British Empire.
Unfortunately, I think the situation is extremely dangerous because, Pakistan and India are both nuclear powers. And there was already one Pakistani minister who had mentioned, that all the Pakistani weapons are trained in the direction of India, and basically very bellicose threat to use those nuclear weapons. And obviously Modi's response is very harsh and bellicose as well. And I just hope that what he said is not true, because if it would be in 1 to 3 days, we could be in a nuclear catastrophe in no time. I mean, I can only say that the previous concerns of people internationally about non-proliferation and that the danger of nuclear war could come from even not the major nuclear powers, but some of the others, is very real. And so I think, I can only hope that, the defense minister of Pakistan, however, said something else, which I think is also extremely important. He said that all Pakistani involvement in the last decades were the result of being instrumentalized by the British and the United States, including the backing of terrorism coming from Pakistan soil after 9/11. And so I think that is definitely something to be aware of, because, now with the Trump administration, that is not the apparatus which did bet on that. That was Brzezinski and his Islamic card, which he had given as an order to the Trilateral Commission in their infamous meeting in Tokyo in 1975, which then led to the Western backing of the Quran schools, the building of the extremist Islam, jihadi, basically for Afghanistan first in the war against the Soviet Union. But then after that war was lost, these terrorist forces did not vanish. They spread to the entire region, to parts of the Soviet republics, to Chechnya, to the Uyghurs in Xinjiang, other areas. So they infested the whole region. And then, as General Flynn was pointing to and tried to communicate to Obama in 2012, these forces, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, and however they changed, they were instrumentalized by the West, by the United States and other Western forces. So I think the reference by the Pakistan defense minister to that history is extremely important, because, only if you have a clear view and do not attribute that to nations, but to other forms of interest, can you have a policy to diffuse the whole danger. So I can only say that the hope is that, there are several neighbors who immediately got active and tried to mediate between Pakistan and India, such as Iran, very importantly, and also China. And they are talking and they have positive relations to both sides. So one can only hope that their mediation will prevail and we will not look in a nuclear Armageddon over that crisis in the short term.
Thank you, Diane and Helga, for that phenomenal quality of insight, which combined with the urgency to establish a new global security and development architecture, underscores the importance of the upcoming Schiller Institute conferences, the first being here in the New York City metropolitan area in May, just several weeks away. So again, stay tuned. We'll hear in a few minutes from several of the attendees of that upcoming conference. But first, let's get to some on-the-ground activity this past week. First, on organizing young people. We're going to hear from Bennett in Texas, who has been out talking to students at A&M University about the urgent necessity to restore Glass-Steagall. You'll hear him tell that he's been telling students about one of their alumni, Phil Gramm, who is one of the authors of the Gramm-Leach-Bliley bill that took down Glass-Steagall. And then we'll get a short clip from Kevin Pearl, a taste of talking to the students at the City College of New York, CCNY, in Manhattan, New York, about creating a new paradigm for mankind.
So we're at Texas A&M University, the former stomping ground of the quack economist Phil Gramm. So recently, Mr. Gramm has been going all in, criticizing Trump's tariffs that he's been doing, but kind of hollow coming from a man who was very, very supportive of repealing Glass-Steagall, the act that basically kept the banking system safe. Restore Glass-Steagall, lose it all. Glass-Steagall is what prevented banks from becoming casinos. Now that Glass-Steagall is gone, banks are basically just, big glorified casinos. And because of that, we are more likely to be on a recession.
Hi, Kevin Pearl here out in front of City College of New York, where I haven't been for about 40 years. It's where I joined the LaRouche movement, back out here with Jose Vega and Robert Castle and others, bringing people into the fight against colonialism and poor development. Anyway, that's a 20-second report. Thanks, bye.
Okay, we're going to stay in Manhattan, where we have a report from a concert held last weekend in New York City by the Schiller Institute New York City Chorus. We'll hear from Jen Pearl, the chair of the board of the chorus, and we'll hear again from Kevin Pearl, who sang bass in the concert. And then we'll hear a short excerpt, the conclusion to the composition Kevin references by the German composer Amalie von Sachsen.
Good evening. My name is Jen Pearl. I'm the chair of the Schiller Institute NYC Chorus. And my voice sounds a little tired because we just finished a glorious concert here in New York City, which was entitled A Classical Concert for the 2025 Jubilee Year of Hope. And it was extremely exciting. We had a 60-person chorus, a 20-person orchestra, 4 wonderful soloists. We also had a beautiful string and piano trio by Beethoven and a full audience, which completely concentrated for the entire 2-hour concert. We started with the Walk Together Children, the beautiful uplifting words, Walk Together Children, don't you get weary. And we ended with the very humble Dona nobis pacem, grant us peace. So we think in this Jubilee year that we want to double the size of our chorus. So if there are any singers out there that would like to join our chorus, you are welcome to the Schiller Institute NYC Chorus. We welcome you and thank you.
Hi, I'm Kevin Pearl. I'm part of the Schiller Chorus. I came down from Boston to join in this concert. We were very worried about it right up until the last week, but everybody pulled things together. It was absolutely beautiful from start to finish. It was a joy to perform a lot of lesser-known works, including an American debut of a piece by Saxon. Anyway, that's what I've got. Thank you.
If you missed the beautiful concert, well, you don't have to miss the upcoming Memorial Day weekend conference. Have you registered yet? I am registered. You can sign up now at the Schiller Institute website. Let's hear now from several of your fellow participants on why they are attending this conference.
Hi, I'm Clarette from Dorchester Heights. I'm attending the Schiller Institute Memorial Day Conference because we need to finish the American Revolution and kick the British Empire's butt.
Hey everyone, it's Josiah out in Utah, and I'm going to be attending the Memorial Day Conference because, one, I know there's probably going to be singing, and if you haven't heard, it's amazing and beautiful. The second reason is that I want to be able to learn from the experienced activists and organizers that are going to be there. A lot of people are going to be there that have dedicated their lives to spreading these ideas and working for a new security and development architecture, and I want to be able to learn from them. So that's why.
Hello, I'm Bill from Boston, and I'm attending the Schiller Institute Memorial Day Weekend Conference because there is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads on to fortune. Omitted, then all the voyage of their life is bound in shallows and in miseries. On such a full sea are we now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or lose our ventures.
Hello, this is Bob Wesser. Some of you may know me from my various historical presentations on American history on various LaRouche platforms. And here I am today in front of George Washington's headquarters in Newburgh, New York, right on the Hudson, very important place where he planned out the latter stages of the war. And I just want to make sure that everybody watching this gets to the historic May 24th, 25th Schiller Institute conference in the New York City area. This is going to be a way that we change the course of history for our nation on the 250th, or as we approach the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. So it's great to study history. You should get to all these sites, but get there on the 24th and 25th and you can make history. See you there.
Hi, I'm Alex Guerrero from Queens, New York, and I hope you'll join me and many, many others in attending the upcoming Schiller Institute conference on the weekend of May 24th and 25th. There's no shortage of massive major challenges in the world right now, and it's events like this that will make the difference toward a better future. There are several panels announced. There's information on the Schiller Institute website, excuse me, at schillerinstitute.com. And there are going to be several panels on culture development for the next 50 years. Lots of wonderful things. We need to work to make a better world, again, in the face of all the challenges that we currently have before us. So I hope you'll join me.
So register today, Schiller Institute website. Now we're going to take a couple of LaRouche in the news this week, starting with Diane Sare, the president of the LaRouche organization, was interviewed yesterday by the Russian news agency Izvestia for her insights into the first 100 days of the Trump administration. She said, "It is very difficult to understand what Trump is thinking just by looking at what he posts on the social network Truth Social." She also says in this interview that the previous administration staged provocations that exacerbated the conflict with Russia. And Trump's first term was, of course, complicated by Russiagate. "I think," she said, "if the United States and Russia can fully establish a dialogue, not only hoping to end this very bloody proxy war in Ukraine, but also working to strengthen relations, the entire planet will benefit from this. And it will be very useful to improve relations with China. But there is another side to this, where the British, the French, and some hawks in the United States are very unhappy with this potential and are doing everything possible to make it more difficult to realize." So these were some of the insights Diane gave in this even more lengthy interview. Also in the news this week, Helga Zep Larouche, founder of the Schiller Institute, made a stunning intervention last Saturday into a panel discussion on CGTN's April 26th panel on the topic of the so-called global green transition. Helga explained the scientific principles of physical economy to be considered.
There's a balancing.
Obviously, the most intelligent is to invest in those things which are most efficient. And, while it looks like solar and wind are easily available and not so cost intensive, in reality, it is not like that, because there is, in energy, you have to consider the notion of energy flux density. And the higher you go in the energy flux density, the higher is the productivity of the production process in general in the entire industry. And for example, Germany is a very advanced economy, and therefore, if you go to very low energy flux densities, which is only solar and energy and wind, you cannot maintain the high productivity of the economy. Therefore, there is a big rethinking in Germany among industrial layers that it was a big mistake to go out of nuclear energy, because the question is how do you correlate the amount of energy produced worldwide with the need of the population. And the low energy flux density of solar and wind only corresponds to a population density area of about 1, maybe 2 billion people. But if you want to maintain a population of 8 billion or even 10 billion or 20 billion, which would be easily possible, you absolutely need to invest in the high energy flux density areas, which is fourth generation, inherently safe fission energy. And that speaks no argument against fourth generation or the thorium cycle, for example. These are energy sources which are absolutely safe. They are environmentally friendly. They have no CO2 emission worth talking about. And therefore, I think it is extremely good.
And the full discussion, we include a link in the YouTube video discussion. Very, very effective intervention there. So we now have a social media development where online this week there was a certain uptick, a bit of a breakthrough in attention to leadership. In just 72 hours, there were over 4,000 more people who signed up as new followers to independent LaRouche congressional candidate Jose Vega, who is running in the Bronx 5th Congressional District. This occurred after a couple of different channels recirculated a video of an intervention by Jose from last September. And we're going to watch a little clip from this intervention where he's challenging the powers that be, a so-called Nobel Prize-winning economist named Paul Krugman, on the difference between a great economy and what's actually happening.
Uh-oh, Nobel Prize-winning economist here to tell us how great the economy is. I certainly wonder how the residents of Asheville, North Carolina must be feeling right now with no access to power or water or communication with the outside world. I wonder how enthusiastic they are about the economy right now. I wonder how enthusiastic the residents of the South Bronx must be feeling about the economy. Hey, maybe North Carolina should rename itself Israel so it'll get $20 billion in aid. Or maybe Ukraine so it can get $300 billion in aid. Maybe the South Bronx should do the same thing. I mean, I'm sure the economy is great for smug liberals like yourself who make $5 million and are worth $5 million. I'm sure the economy must be great for all you smug journalists, economists. All of you must be having a great time with the economy when most people can't even pay for basic necessities, for people who are getting evicted.
So we're going to conclude this report with a report back given to her associates by Mrs. Helga Zep Larouche, founder of the Schiller Institute. Last weekend, Mrs. Zep Larouche was in China, where she participated in the annual meeting of the China Media Group at an event that hosted participants from all over the world. The event took place in an important historic city on the east coast of China, Khufu, which is the birthplace of the great Chinese philosopher Confucius. For those who haven't yet visited China, and those who have, it's very useful to see this culture firsthand. This report touches on the great significance and appreciation of Confucius, the ties to American patriots like Ben Franklin, and a bit on modern China.
Let me just at the end tell you quickly about my short but very effective and very pleasant trip to Khufu. Khufu is the birthplace of Confucius, and I was invited there to participate in the annual meeting of the China Media Group, which is all Chinese media, not just CGTN, but the umbrella organization of all Chinese media. And they had a one-day event with participation of many national media organizations from all over the world, with greetings from Western, Reuters, AFP, but mainly the national media coordinators from countries from the global south. And I could participate in the panel, which you saw in the briefing. But let me give you some of my impressions. I mean, first of all, this is spectacular. I mean, Khufu is in the middle, or it's in a landscape which is a large lake where the birthplace of Confucius is located, and they have there, first of all, a gigantic statue of Confucius, which you can see here. It's this is not even the biggest one. This is just one in front of the Confucius Museum, where we visited on Saturday. And it's a beautiful lake, and it's all geared towards massive celebration of tourists coming to study Confucius. Then we went to this is in front of the Confucius Palace. This is where the birthplace of Confucius is. You see here myself and our guide, and naturally Christoph. And yeah, this is in the hall where the CMG event took place. There were no speeches except greetings from all the heads of the national media. And this was just the picture or a very short video greeting address to the event, which had been taped ahead of time. This is there was a huge ceremony in one of the palaces on long, one palace after the other. So this was a demonstration of some of the warriors. It was quite spectacular, with a lot of music, which you can't hear right now. Next. This, I think, is the actual house where Confucius was born. And, it's a very, given the fact that, all of Asia has been, Japan, Vietnam, Korea, many other countries have been trained in Confucian tradition. I think this is quite amazing. Next. Yeah, this was at the official banquet. This is actually Confucius writings, but you can eat it. It's very tasty, and it's one of the many dishes we ate. Next. This is in the museum, the Confucius Museum. We went there on the next day, and it's a beautiful museum where you have all the writings of Confucius, but many both paintings, but also figures, basically in incorporating scenes from Confucius's life. Next. This is one of the Confucius on the right, and you can see the children to the left, showing how Confucius was teaching children. Next. Yeah, this is actually a scene where the American founding fathers are studying Confucius. And you remember that at one of our conferences, we had a presentation from a Chinese scholar about Benjamin Franklin's total excitement about the Confucius ethic teachings, and that he had modeled his own education system very much on the thought of Confucius. And maybe we can talk this up to be an inspiration for President Trump when he is going to see Xi Jinping soon, that there are actually these connecting points in Chinese and American history, which could lead the way to a more solid foundation for the dialogue, namely Confucius, who teaches harmony and how everybody is benefiting when they cooperate. Next. This is a robot at the stage of the CMG event. This presence of robots everywhere in China now. Next. This is a Chinese robot dog. Not yet able to compete with live dogs, I can assure you. Okay, I think that is just a tiny taste from a very short but very impressive and pleasant trip. So I think, we should be inspired by that to bring in that Confucian spirit, among other things, into our conferences, because, the war party has nothing to offer and is losing, and everything is for humanity to gain by cooperating and reaching the new paradigm. So that's what I wanted to say.
So thank you, Helga. Thank you, Diane, Bennett, Josiah, Bill, Bob, Clarette, and Jose, and everyone else who have contributed to the organizing this week. For everyone watching, if you haven't yet, register now for the Schiller Institute conference. If you're not able to make it in person, there is a virtual option for you. You can attend virtually. If you can make it in person, set that up immediately. We'd love to see you and chit-chat in the halls and have you there with us in person. And lastly, for all the organizing taking place in this coming week and future weeks, we want your reports. Email at info@laroucheorganization.com. Video reports are fantastic. Photos will sometimes do if you can send me a little explanation of what's happening so I can share that with our friends and co-organizers around the world. So again, thank you for watching, and